Me 31. Obsessed with being the fixer in the group. Problem: I fix everything except my own messes. 8 years doing all the planning for friends' events. Always the one booking tickets and finding hotels. Always the driver, the organizer, the one with the plan. Pride in never asking for help from anyone. Addicted to proving I can handle anything. One night at dinner the topic turns competitive. Friends joke about who would survive an emergency. I laugh and say I'd beat all of them without trouble. My friend Nate smirks and says, "Wanna prove it?" The table goes quiet for a moment before people nod. He lays out the challenge right there between drinks. 3 days in the mountains with minimal supplies. Everyone on their own, no team, no help. Winner is whoever lasts without calling it quits. Loser buys dinner for the whole group for a month. I agree instantly without even thinking about it. Already imagining walking back into town victorious. Nate says, "Cool, you leave this Friday." It hits me. That's 3 days from now. No time to prepare properly or overthink. And that's probably why I say yes even louder. That night in bed I scroll. Solo camping essentials. Every video starts with, "Don't do this without experience." I ignore them and keep watching packing hacks. In my head I'm already picturing the win. But under the confidence there's a small flicker of doubt. The kind I don't admit to anyone, even myself. Because in my world, failure isn't an option. At least, that's what I always tell people. Friday morning comes faster than I expected it to. I wake up early, throw my gear into the car quickly. A small tent, sleeping bag, basic food, and water bottle. I tell myself I pack light because I'm efficient, not careless. Drive out of the city with music loud to kill the nerves. The sky is overcast, but I pretend not to notice it. Nate sends a text. "See you Monday if you make it." I reply with a thumbs up, hiding my own shaky hands. 2 hours later the road turns into gravel and dirt tracks. The mountains rise ahead, dark and sharp against the clouds. I park near the trailhead where the challenge officially starts. There's no one around except a ranger locking up his truck. He nods at me and says, "Storm's coming in tonight," casually. I laugh and say I've handled worse weather before in the city. He just raises an eyebrow like he knows something I don't. That look stays in my mind as I step onto the trail alone. The first mile feels almost too easy to be taken seriously. Tall pines on both sides, a narrow ribbon of dirt under my feet. I hum along to music in my head and keep a steady pace. The backpack feels heavier with each step, but I ignore it. Halfway up the slope, I find a small clearing near a stream. I tell myself this could be a perfect camp spot for later. But my pride says to push further while the daylight holds. I leave it behind without marking it, already regretting it a bit. By the third hour the wind shifts and the air smells like rain. I tighten my jacket and pick up the pace toward higher ground. The path narrows and the rocks get slick under my boots. I remind myself this is just part of the test and keep going. But in the back of my mind, I can't shake the ranger's warning. Every bend in the trail makes the light feel slightly dimmer. I start wondering if stopping earlier would have been smarter. But my ego keeps my feet moving further into the mountains. By late afternoon, the clouds have swallowed the sun. The air feels colder with every step up the incline. I spot a narrow ridge with a view of the valley below. It's beautiful, but the wind hits hard from both sides. I pull my jacket tighter and drop my pack for a moment. Check my phone. No service, just a blank signal bar. The silence is heavy, broken only by the gusts of wind. I realize I haven't seen another person for hours now. I push forward hoping to find shelter before dark falls. The trail twists into a patch of dense cedar trees ahead. The ground is uneven, roots grabbing at my boots constantly. Each step feels slower, my legs starting to ache already. Finally, I see a small flat patch between two big boulders. It's not perfect, but it's better than the exposed ridge. I set my pack down and pull out the tent to start building. That's when I realize one of the main poles is missing. I dump the entire contents of my pack into the dirt fast. Food, clothes, sleeping bag, but no missing tent pole. It must have slipped out back near the trailhead somehow. The realization hits like a punch straight in the stomach. The wind picks up again, making the fabric whip in my hands. I try to improvise using a stick, but it keeps splintering. The sun is already low, turning the clouds a dim gray. I know I don't have long before night makes this impossible. I try again, forcing the fabric over a crooked branch. It holds for maybe 30 seconds before collapsing. Frustration builds, but the cold air keeps pushing me to act. I decide to at least lay the tent flat and use it as cover. It's not much, but it'll break the wind for the first night. The thought of 2 more nights like this makes me uneasy. But I tell myself this is just part of the challenge now. Even though deep down I know I've already made mistakes. By the time darkness takes over, the valley is pitch black. The wind rattles the tent fabric like distant thunder rolls. I lie inside wrapped in my sleeping bag, fully clothed. Every sound outside feels sharper in the quiet night air. Branches creak and snap somewhere deeper in the trees. I tell myself it's just the wind, but my grip tightens anyway. Rain starts tapping on the nylon, slow at first, then faster. The temperature drops and my breath hangs in the air. I check my phone again out of habit and get nothing still. Battery at 70, but the screen feels colder than my hands. I shut it off to save power and listen to the rain instead. It's steady now, soaking the edges of the tent where it sags. Water creeps in slowly, pulling near the corner by my feet. I shift my bag higher, but the cold dampness still seeps in. The smell of wet earth and pine fills the air completely. It's both calming and unnerving in the same strange way. Hours pass in fragments, drifting in and out of light sleep. Every time I wake, the wind is still pressing against the tent. At one point, I hear a heavy thump close by in the darkness. It's followed by silence that feels heavier than the sound. I lie still, barely breathing, ears straining for any movement. Nothing follows, but the unease sticks and refuses to leave. Eventually, I close my eyes again and wait for dawn to come. When it does, I'm not sure I slept more than an hour at all. Morning light is gray and washed out through the damp clouds. Everything outside glistens with moisture like glass in the air. The tent is soaked, my pack cold to the touch on every side. I eat a protein bar in silence and think about the next move. My pride says keep going higher and prove I can do this. But my body is already asking for warmth and shelter now. I finish the last bite and force myself back onto the trail, because quitting this early would haunt me for a long time. The trail after camp climbs sharply into thicker fog. Each step feels heavier with the wet gear on my back. My boots squelch with water from the soaked ground. I keep my head down, focusing only on the next step. The trees grow closer together, shutting out more light. Every now and then I hear movement deeper in the woods. Could be animals, could be just the wind in the branches. Either way, it makes me move faster without thinking. After an hour, I reach a fork with 2 narrow paths ahead. One climbs steeply to the left, the other dips into shadow. I pull out my compass, but it spins without settling straight. The map in my head from yesterday feels fuzzy and wrong. I choose the uphill path, figuring higher ground is safer. The climb is brutal and my legs burn within 10 minutes. My breath comes in sharp bursts in the cold, thin air. The sound of rushing water echoes faintly from somewhere. I finally break out onto a ridge overlooking a deep ravine. A narrow stream cuts through the rocks far below in silver. I kneel to catch my breath and drink the last of my bottle. The water barely takes the edge off the dryness in my throat. I know I need to refill, but getting down there is risky. The slope is steep, loose rocks sliding under my boots. One wrong step, and I'd be in trouble miles from help. I weigh the risk for a long moment before heading down. The descent is slow, and the rocks shift under every step. I slide the last few feet and land in cold, damp mud. Kneeling by the stream, I fill the bottle to the brim. The water is icy, numbing my fingers instantly in seconds. I take a long drink, and it feels like life returning to me.